bears, a baby bear cub and bears. Also, black bears. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get ready to start.
Okay, I will call this Monday, July 13th, 2026 meeting of the Port of Olympia to order. It's 4 p.m. All 4 commissioners are present and 1 commissioner is present online, or Commissioner Vasavada. She's a panelist online here. Joel, Commissioner Hanson, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Love to. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then it sounds like we'll move to the executive director report.
Thank you, Commission Vice President Montano. As soon as we get going here. It is not on our screen. Well, maybe there we go. Okay, thank you. All right. So we wanted to just say a big thank you to the Thurston County Chamber and Jenny Folia Jones, GFJ Strategies for the fan zone that was. It was an amazing event. We really appreciate the partnership with Thurston County, the City of Olympia, the City of Lacey, the City of Tumwater, and then of course the Chamber as well. It was an amazing event. We were just happy to be able to host it on port property. And we've asked the Chamber to come and give us a debrief about sort of the local impact on businesses and attendance and all that good stuff. So in the future, that will come. We also want to say a big thank you to the Shoestring Circus. This is the 3rd year they've been at our port and they've just been such a huge success. This year they added a 3rd week to their schedule and they even added an extra show on top of that because of the high demand. So they can accommodate everybody who's on their wait list. They've sold out every year and we really look forward to this being a continued event on port property. We also had an opportunity a weekend or 2 ago to participate in Capital City Pride events. First was the Capital City Pride event itself was held at the Port Plaza, and we were very excited to be able to host that at the Plaza. Big shout out to Commissioner Vasavada, who gave opening remarks at the event. And then the next day we were able to participate in the the Pride Parade. And so a number of port staff and Commissioners Toumpas, Montano, and Vasavada came on out and marched with us, and it was always a great event and we were excited to be part of it. And then this past weekend, the Olympia Dragon Boat Festival was out. They used the Port Plaza and launched up at the Port Dock. They had 44 different teams participating and some very exciting racing. And they had some bands and things out on the plaza. And it sounded like it was a great event that everybody had a great time at. And just kudos to the port team who provided outstanding logistical and coordination support. Also, in the past few weeks, we were able to host Thurston County, the Youth Leadership Program. They came out to the airport and our very own Chris Paolini gave them a tour, and I believe they got a chance to drive on the runway, which is a unique experience. And they got a chance to learn more about our port, about airport operations, workforce development out at the port, and all the career opportunities that are available in the airport industry and at our airport in particular. So we appreciate our partnership with the Thurston Chamber on this, and special thank you to Chris and the Airport Operations and Administration Specialist, Will Richardson, for supporting it as well. This past week, we got a visit from the JBLM Chief of Staff, Greta Bucatello. Bucalato, came to visit us, and we spent some time, Commissioner Toumpas, Mike Reed and I spent some time chatting with her, gave her a tour of the marine terminal, And it was great to connect with her, learn more about how things are organized at JBLM as we try to rebuild our relationship with them. And she also indicated that she will be in this position for 12 years, which is really exciting. We've struggled in the past 4 or 5 years to have a consistent point of contact at JBLM. And so knowing that she'll be there for 12 years and is so open to us, to being a resource for us and helping us figure out who we need to talk to about all sorts of different things. So we're really excited about building this relationship and finding areas of collaboration with JBLM. We also recently had another public marine terminal tour. It was last week, and we love having so many community members come and join us and learn about the port. There are 2 more tours available on August 4th and September 1st. So if you'd like to come, please visit the port's website or email tours@portolympia.com to sign up. And it's been a long time since we last had a commission meeting, so I have a lot of things. Swantown Marina put in a new public kayak and human-powered boat launch. It's on the public docks, sort of near the boat launch. And it's specifically for people to launch their kayaks or paddle boards or other human-powered watercraft. And so we're very excited that we can offer this amenity. And it also is a commission priority to provide more opportunities for human-powered watercraft at our facilities. So thanks to the Marina team for putting it in. This coming week, I will be attending, along with some port staff, the launch of the Tribal Guide to Maritime Washington, which is co-hosted by the Maritime Heritage Washington Group and the Squaxin Island Tribe. They're hosting this event at Evergreen State College, and it's the Squaxin Island Tribe's digital resource that shares Indigenous maritime heritage and really honors the relationship between people, water, and place. So we're excited to go learn more about this and this coming Thursday. And then just a reminder, we still have opportunities to volunteer for the Port of Olympia Community Advisory Committee. We are accepting applications through the end of this month, so July 31st is the deadline. And so please go to the port's website if you're at all interested, and just fill out a brief application. And we encourage anybody and everybody throughout Thurston County to apply. And that is it for the news, but as always, we value your input. There's lots of opportunities to engage with us, both in terms of providing input or following us on social media or coming to a tour. So that's it.
Thank you, Director Smith. Questions, comments? Okay, we will move on to public comment, which it doesn't look like we have any online. I don't have to see, it was empty when I looked.
Somebody signed up.
Nobody signed up, great. So we'll move to the consent calendar. And to approve. We have 2 items today, the Evergreen Business Capital Amendment number 6, and then bills and vouchers for June 2026.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously, so we will move to the action calendar. The first item is the contract award for building tenant improvements. James Summers, our Public Works Program Manager.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am James Summer, your Public Works Program Manager, and as mentioned, I'm here to discuss the contract award for the Building Tenant Improvement Project, or as we also call it, the Port Headquarters Project. So today's presentation is action. We are requesting a decision. We'll talk very briefly about project scope, the contract timeline overview, the low bidder contractor overview, and a suggested motion for you. So I left this slide in there last time. Commissioner Tumpash, you'd asked me a question. I had to follow up. You asked about existing lease space versus square footage of the new building. So the existing lease space is right around 15,450 square feet. And this new project, when it is built out, is approximately 19,700 square feet. So roughly 4,500 square foot bigger, which does allow us a little bit of room for expansion and extra meeting spaces. So I'll go over this one quickly again. Just a reminder, it is a TI of an existing space. The shell of the building itself will get some minor upgrades like windows and some different exterior doors. But most of the work happens inside. We are expanding the mezzanine to add about 4,000 square foot of office and mezzanine storage for the maintenance crew. 194 working days. So if we assume contract award permission is given tonight and we move forward on the project, that puts us in right around May of next year. And the engineer's estimate was 4.7 to 5 million. That was prevailing wage and the apprentice utilization requirements. So a little bit about the contract solicitation timeline and overview. So on June 1st, we solicited for bids. The 11th, we had our optional pre-site visit, which is what the picture is of there. On June 30th at 3 p.m. was the submission deadline. We went ahead and opened bids directly after in this room. We had 9 submissions, which is great. They ranged from the low bid of $5,251,734 all the way up to $7,506,112. Kind of a cool thing that happened with this bid is the lowest 5 bidders were all within 150,000. So if you average the lowest 5 bids, it's a spread of about 1.5%, which is phenomenal when you're talking at this high of a level. So gives me great confidence that we got good numbers. We defined the scope well, and we had a well-developed solicitation package. And then tonight, 7:13 or this evening, we are asking for commission approval. So as I mentioned, maybe didn't mention, Good News Group is the lowest responsible bidder. So I thought I'd just give a brief overview of the contractor themselves. So in 2008, they were founded and focused mainly on hotel renovations. They saw a niche in the industry and saw where some of the processes and contractors were struggling. So they entered the market in 2008. Quickly in 2010, they expanded to cover commercial and multifamily construction. Then in 2013, they incorporated government and public works into their repertoire. And by 2019, they were really a full service construction company. They deliver in public sector, commercial, multifamily renovations, and do both interior and exterior work.
Click it again.
There we go. So had this slide, I'd open up to questions and comments. And then should you want to move forward, I have a suggested motion there for you.
Can you remind us how much the amount was budgeted for? Was it 6.5 million or?
I believe we had anticipated 5.5 million. So we came in under that budget. This year, so it's a split allocation. We had some money allocated in this year's capital budget, but then we'd also shown that we will be requesting the additional amount or the rest of the amount for next year's budget, since construction falls over the 2 years and we don't carry funding from one year to the next. So yeah, we'd initially thought around 5.5 million. So it came in under our anticipated budget.
Perfect. And then when can we see the overall plans?
I can show them to you immediately. I have them. Yeah, I could work with Executive Director Smith to figure out how best to get those to you. But yep, we have the full plan set and specifications depending on how deep you want to dive.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Right. I move to authorize the executive director to award the Port of Olympia Headquarters Tenant Improvement Project Contract 2026-1020 to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Good News Group, in the amount of $5,251,734, including sales tax.
Second.
Great. All those in favor?
All right.
We'll have discussion first.
Oh, okay. Was there any discussion? Questions, comments?
I'll just make the comment that in my experience with the bids coming in with such a small spread, that it really does show good work done by staff in defining the scope and preparing the package.
Great. Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that the bidder is lower than our expectation of 5.5. Good. All right, let's call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Jane. All right, next on our action calendar is electric aircraft charging station grant application. Chris Paolini, Airport Senior Manager.
Good evening, commissioners. Chris Paolini, Airport Senior Manager, speaking to you tonight about the electric aircraft charging station application. Tonight's presentation will request action at the end of the presentation. And this will be a two-part, one motion with two parts to it is authorizing executive director to submit a grant application and then also a resolution that is accompanying that application for grant match funds from WashDOT as part of the requirement for grant applications. Just some background, just some reminders from my last presentation. Staff has explored infrastructure opportunities to bring an electric charging station for electric aircraft here to the airport. And these are some of the key questions that were included as we tried to figure out a solution. We do believe we found a great solution, and that's also having us partner with one of our tenants on the airfield as well. And so we're excited about the possibility. And just some reminders for people. This is what some of the aircraft that are already flying and doing demonstration flights across the country look like. The one on the bottom left is already being used at flight schools in certain parts of, I believe it's on the East Coast right now. And then this is the actual charging station we're looking to try to install here at the airport. And so there's two of them in that one picture, so you just be one of them. So kind of give you an idea of the size. This is the location on the airfield. It's over by Safety in Motion, which is a flight school and fixed base operator on the airfield. Fixed base operator is a term used in the aviation industry that explains providing ground support for business aircraft. And so this also turned out to be the best location based on where three-phase power is already existing along the street, and in a way that you could install a charger without it impacting other taxiway and apron layouts in the ingress and egress of other aircraft. And so we worked with Safety in Motion, and they were happy to partner with us on this. And to that end, just some summaries of some of the timeline that we went through. WashDOT announced the notice of funding opportunity back in May. Shortly thereafter, we already gotten kind of word that it was going to be coming out and before they announced it. So we'd already set up a meeting with Beta Technologies and Aviation's director and consultants to do a site walk. That went well, and we decided to go ahead and move forward and try to submit the grant application that is due this week. So pretty quick turnaround. The project would consist of the following: increasing Puget Sound Energy's electrical power at the edge of the airport from 208 volt three-phase to the 408 volt three-phase. And then installing about 800 feet of electrical conduit from that street into the location. About 50 feet more than what I presented last month, just as we worked out some of the details of the design and everything. So this is what it would look like. This allows the aircraft under its own power to come into the charging station area and leave under its own power out of the charging station area. So it provides a little bit more of an access route. So some of the benefits of this project would place the Port of Olympia at the forefront of electric aircraft's transition to the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. There's only one aircraft charging station in California right now. So we're excited to be part of this new wave of exciting technology that's coming. And then, of course, I won't read all these bullet points because you've seen a lot of this information previously. But just again, it's an opportunity to bring some of the quieter aircraft, zero emission aircraft into our area. So we're excited to be able to support it. And some information on the grant itself. So this will be important because I want to address some of the questions the commission had at my last presentation. So the WashDOT Civil Aviation Grant funds up to 100% of the project costs. However, WashDOT has informed applicants that a voluntary grant match for a percentage of the project would help the application package be more competitive. Originally, we had an idea to do a 10% match. I got some feedback from the commission at the last meeting that they might be open to possibly a little bit more than that. So I've actually presented I'll be presenting a few different options for you tonight if you want to explore those. So option number one will be a 10% match. And I do want to just point out from last month, again, just working through some of the details and trying to price in inflation and make sure we capture taxes and all of that. Since we're projecting for a project next year, the project moved from 1.2 million to 1.3 million just to have a little bit of a buffer in there. Again, you don't have to spend it if you don't need it, but we wanted to have that buffer in there going after this grant. So under the 10% match option, the grant would be for 1.08 million, and then the airport would be 120,000 match. For option number two, possibly a 15% match, the participation would be 195,000. And then for the third option, at a potential 20% match, that you would have 1.04 million for the grant, and then 260,000 for the airport's match as well. And that would come out of the airport capital project funds. So the timeline, I gave my presentation back on June 22nd. As mentioned, the grant application deadline is due this Friday. And in October, we will see there'll be a prioritized list of recommended projects to the legislature. I apologize, I can't talk tonight for some reason. July 1st, the WashDOT sends grant award letters. That's July 1st of next year. And then we would hope that construction could potentially begin either late 2027 and then would probably carry over into 2028. And there's a possibility with availability of the product and everything that might not start until 2028, but we'd fully expect that it would be a short construction timeline and would finish in 2028. I'll quickly go over some of these just because we've seen them before, but these are the focus areas that how they match up with our Vision 2050 statement and our goals here at the port. And then also just the environmental considerations. We will still be working through the FAA exemption process. We do believe that under this order that will be a exempt project, but that's still in process. And then also we do have SEPA exemption currently. That was able to be completed relatively quickly because the project falls well. It was just a internal review that we have a 55,000 volts or less for projects, and I think ours is 380 consistent. I'm not an electrician, but we're not even at 1,000 volts, so we're good to go. So there was no issues there. So for the footprint of the project and for the voltage limitations, we found that we were going to be SEPA exempt. And then, of course, this project aligned perfectly with our greenhouse gas emissions goals as the port has that draft sustainability action plan and strategy. So we're just excited that this can check so many boxes at the same time, as well as just kind of potentially help support some of the exciting things that are happening in the aviation industry transitioning to electric aircraft. So next steps, per port policy, commission approval is required to apply for a WashDOT grant when the project is not on the capital investment plan. So that's why we're here tonight. And then additionally, WashDOT requires a resolution from the sponsor entity affirming funds availability and commitment to providing grant match funds for a capital project. So I do have a few different motions for you here this evening. This is motion number 1 for a 10% match, motion number 2 for a 15% match, and then motion number 3 for a 20% match. And then I have questions and comments. And staff is recommending this evening that we would consider, the commission would consider a 15% match on this project to make it more competitive. So I can leave that up there while there's any questions or comments.
Great,
Yes, sir.
thank you for that. Yeah, Commissioner Ansel.
How much capital investment fund is there? Like, are we, is it a fairly hefty account that we would not have any problems meeting the matching requirements?
I'd have to get with the finance director, get you an exact answer on that. I feel comfortable that this dollar amount would be within the range that we could do without having any concerns.
Okay. Yeah, I know that certainly, even if we went to 20%, that could be more, make us more competitive because we're going to be up against, I would imagine, some major competition.
I am aware that some other airports are applying for grants in Washington State. So yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Dupas?
I just wanted to ask, since it feels like this is something the commission is interested in doing. It's just the dollar amount. So I guess my question is this a rare grant or is it something that we can sort of expect year after year?
It's a hard question to ask. So last year, the WashDOT had to cancel all the projects that grant applications were submitted for because the money that was originally planned for those grants was actually removed from the biennial budget. So this is a new one trying to add it back into the budget for the 2027-2028 biennium. So it's not always, you can't rely that it's going to be there every time. So and honestly, they still have to fund this, so it's not guaranteed there. So we want to make sure, my recommendation is that we make sure that when those opportunities are there, we try to apply to be competitive, because we don't know if and when the money will be there next. Does that answer your question? It's kind of hard to give you a more
It's not
better
an easy answer to an easy question to answer.
Commissioner
Sabata has her hand raised.
Okay, Commissioner Masavada?
Well, if you're ready, Chair, I would just like to move to adopt this resolution 2026-06, affirming the port's commitment to provide grant matching funds for the Olympia Regional Airport's electric aircraft charging station project, and authorize the executive director to submit an application for a WashDOT grant matching 15% of project costs as recommended by staff with airport capital funds for the airport's electric aircraft charging station project.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. So we have discussion on the floor. Did you have discussion or a question?
Yeah,
Can
my
I
first,
speak to my motion first?
certainly.
Oh, just, I really was proud to have a chance to put a motion forward, since I'm not presiding today. This is consistent with our collective values. I really want to compliment staff. And if I could be quoted saying one thing, I would want it to be said that investing in the clean aviation future at our airport is not only good for the people who are coming and going, but for all of us who live and are raising our families in Olympia. So this is a step in the right direction.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanson, did you have a question?
Absolutely second everything Commissioner Chair Vasavada just said. I'm in favor of this motion. Had I made the motion, I might have pushed for 20% funding. So I would just go on record saying that I would like to see our application be as competitive as possible, because I really want to see this happen. I probably live closer to the airport than any other person in the county, and to the runway. And I have been on airfields. I haven't ridden in one of these electric airplanes yet, but I've seen them when they're running, and they are nearly silent. They're non-emitting. It really is the future of aviation, and the cost of ownership and operating these aircraft is orders of magnitude less than the existing fleet of aircraft. And so I think as the transition happens, it will happen quickly. So to prepare ourselves with the infrastructure necessary for those planes to come and go from our airport is a really wise move on our part. So I will be voting for the motion, but if there was indication that other commissioners felt like upping the percentage to 20%, I might add that as a friendly amendment.
Well, that was my question, so I'll go next. What would there be a constraint on your budget? I think this is what Commissioner Unsold was trying to get at. If we went instead of 15%, if we did 20, would that strain your capital investment project budget?
So the good news is this is not for this year's budget, so this will be in for next year's budget. We're currently in the budget planning process now, so we can plan for that depending on how the commission decides tonight for next year.
I would agree with what Joel was saying, and I would be in favor of making it a 20% match.
Would you like to make that amendment?
Would the chair accept that as a friendly amendment to the motion?
I accept that as a friendly amendment. And I also think we could have something that's, if anyone else wanted to say, they could say of 15% or up to 20% at the discretion of staff. But I'm comfortable any way you want to go. I will vote yes.
So we have a motion for 15% on the table. You could have a motion to amend for the same language, revising to 15 up to 20%. Would vote on that amendment and then vote on the motion.
Then I'll make a motion to amend the existing motion, changing the matching amount to a range from 15 to 20% at staff's discretion.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion has been amended.
Great. And so we have a motion on the floor to move to adopt resolution 2026-06, affirming the port's commitment to provide grant matching funds for the Olympia Regional Airport's electric aircraft charging station project, and authorize the executive director to submit an application for the WASDOT grant matching 15 to 20% of project costs at staff discretion with airport capital funds for the airport's electric aircraft charging station project. All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
terrific.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Just one question that the 15 to 20% is staff discretion. I guess I don't really know what kind of basis for making that kind of a decision would be, because, you know, when we are submitting a grant, it's going to go through, first it goes through the evaluators at WashDOT, and then it gets submitted to the legislature with their ranked order list. And so I would have, I hesitated to say yes, and I would have preferred to do an amendment to just say 20% match. So I'm sorry.
I trust the staff will take that in consideration.
Yeah, I will say, we heard that a majority of the commission, if not all 5 commissioners, are supportive of a higher match amount up to 20%. So I think the only thing we want to look at is next year's airport budget, just to make sure. But yeah, definitely heard the preference of the commission to go higher.
Can I ask a quick question?
Okay, yes.
Have we been able to get letters of support for our application from any of our tenants or users at the airport?
At this time, I don't have any application, letters of support, no.
I have enough time to get one or two. Yeah, cool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
All right, so moving on to our advisory calendar, we have the delegation of authority. The director is presented.
Right. Thank you, commissioners. I'm here to present an advisory tonight on the delegation of authority. And as you may recall, a delegation of authority is the document by which the commission grants very specific powers to the executive director to manage the port's day-to-day operations. It also typically spells out the commission's role in port governance. Right now, our delegation of authority is contained in 5 different resolutions that were passed between 2013 to 2021. Making it very difficult to sort of really nail down where things have been delegated. And so there was a desire to both get those directions all in one document, and then also update it with some very specific provisions. So in February, the commission asked that we consolidate the delegation of authority, and they asked that we model the delegation of authority off of the Port of Seattle. So we did so, and there's a subcommittee of the executive director, Commissioner Unsold, and Commissioner Vasavada created to work on the draft. A draft was created that lays out the general roles and responsibilities of the commission and the executive director. It also spells out areas where both the executive and director work together on things. But then it has very specific provisions on real property transactions, which ones the commission approves, which ones the executive director can approve. Same with capital projects, contract and procurement, legal services and claims, and then financial administration. So in the draft, the commission also retains approval authority over very specific policies. The list of commission policies is in the packet. In reviewing that, as we looked over the delegation of authority, staff recommends that we add 2 policies for commission approval. One on employee disclosure, like a whistleblower policy, and then the second was on governance. That seems more appropriately the commission's. And then we also recommended moving 11 policies that are currently for commission approval to executive director approval, because they really are more sort of having to do with the day-to-day operations of the port, kind of technical stuff. Those include our safety program, expense reimbursement for travel, employee meeting expense reimbursement, expenditure systems for internal controls, the small works roster, purchase services agreements, emergency public works, the DBE program for FAA funded projects, public works competitive bid exemptions, real property transaction commissions. That's when we hire a real estate broker to help us find properties, or we are asked to pay a commission. And then the port, the compliance for when the port issues bonds, sort of all the various steps we need to take to make sure we're in compliance. So we recommend moving those. In terms of the draft itself, a majority of the subcommittee came to consensus on the draft. There was one area of disagreement, and that was on where and how to include language on environmental stewardship. There was language included by one of the subcommittee members that inserted sort of environmental stewardship goals and natural resource protection and restoration goals in almost every section of the delegation of authority. In looking at it, we also have a policy that is at the commission level. It's our overarching environmental policy. A lot of that same kind of language and responsibilities were in that environmental policy. It felt duplicative to me to include that sort of overarching environmental stewardship language also in the delegation of authority. So an alternative was proposed by another committee members that just included in language in section 3 that requires the commission to annually review the port's environmental policy and its climate change policy, as well as the port's stewardship of public natural resources. So to do that on an annual basis. So again, this is just for discussion tonight. It's an advisory. Both drafts were included in the packet, sort of the draft that a majority of the subcommittee approved of, and then the draft that included the additional environmental stewardship language. And the next steps are, would love to get the commission's feedback on the draft, and then we'll bring it back in July 27th for your approval, and happy to answer any questions.
What does it entail to annually review the port's environmental and climate policies? Is that some sort of motion or just an assumption that we'll do so?
Well, we could just build it into the schedule for, say, a work session and have Sean Gilbertson, our environmental director, come to the commission with the policy and talk through it with the commission and see if there's any additional language or provisions the commission would like to add.
Questions?
Commissioner
Masabada?
I'll just note that I appreciate Director Smith's work on this delegation. It is part of a good hygiene for us as a governing body to really understand our role and where our role begins and ends. And I think the purpose of the suggestion of the annual review is simply to make it that regardless of whether an executive director brought it up, the commission president working with the director, whoever that president is year to year, it would be on the list of things that they need to make sure that gets scheduled. So it maintains that sort of attention that we in our current commission really are committed to having on not just having a policy in place, but really supervising and making sure that it's being implemented in a meaningful way. And so that's why I would urge you all to support the draft delegation as proposed by staff.
Great. I'm also in support of the second option, and I'm looking forward to reviewing that climate policy yearly. I think it's really important at this point, especially as we look to be a model electric airport. I mean, we need to look at this technology yearly and see what is available and what has changed and how we can utilize what we have. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess,
One more.
I'm looking over the drafts, and there are some things that I will speak as the person who suggested the language on environmental restoration and stuff. I will speak in favor of that. And I don't think that it is duplicative, because the kind of things that are in our environmental policy now have to do with complying with court orders and actual the waste cleanup, the stormwater treatment requirements and stuff like that. And it's not really looking at how we as a port can become more focused on environmental sustainability and making that not just a port that will be in compliance with existing statutes and codes, but also one that will really set this, the direction for other ports to follow. And so I would recommend that we go with the more expansive language in there. And then there's another peculiar thing, because in the draft, which is suggested for you by the staff under section 6, contract and procurement administration, it is at the existing levels, whereas in the draft, with the environmental language draft, there are some comments that were made by you as executive director, and that you have changed the non-operational personal service contracts over an amount, and the operational personal service contract also. And so those have been changed in this draft, but not in this draft.
I'll take a look.
And so that's just, and so I would say that we go with this because it has the changes in how contract amounts that you can award without getting our approval.
Right. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Commissioner. I'll take a look at that. And I think we'll do a double check to make sure it's in line with what the statutory authority is as well under the RTWs. And if it would be helpful to the commission, I'm happy to send you all the environmental policy as well as the draft climate change policy and sustainability plan. So you can, just for background, so you can have that as you consider this over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, just a question, Chair.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
That would be very helpful, Alex, because I think I don't remember the characterization that we just heard from Commissioner Unsold that all we're saying is comply with the bare bottom laws. I thought we worked on that together and within the last year and made some significant updates. So I think circulating that again would be very helpful.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you, Commissioner.
Can I just ask one follow-up based on what I heard? This was proposed by the subcommittee, not staff, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's all.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yeah. So next we'll move to Commissioner reports. Commissioner Hanson.
Yes, so kind of number of things toward the end of June, was able to attend with Commissioner Unseld a workshop put on by the Deschutes Estuary Restoration Group. I didn't get to stay for the whole thing, but I learned I learned quite a bit, and it was really well done. And I look forward to being able to attend more workshops to better understand the estuary restoration project. And and then on June 24th, the Economic Development Council held their annual business awards, and one of our tenants, Cardinal Glass out at the airport, was a recipient of one of those awards, and very excited to see that and to be able to support that terrific business and employer in our community. The Maritime Industrial Base Work Group, convened by the Public Ports Association, met on the 25th. We got an update on some of the work that is being done there. I was able to attend the FIFA Fan Zone at the Port Plaza on the 25th and 26th. Had a great time. Saw lots of community members out and enjoying the plaza. And I'm looking forward to finding ways to do more of that and bring more people to the Port Plaza for other types of events in the future. I'd like to see it full all the time after seeing that. The next day on the 27th, I attended the Shoestring Circus for the second year in a row, and it was terrific. Loved it. Talked to some of the people that put it on and encouraged them to extend their run even more next year. And talked about the logistics of maybe they'd have to come early in the season and then come back later. But I told them that the demand is definitely here for them to have more shows. On the 29th and 30th of last month, I attended the Center for Sustainable Infrastructure Conference. I didn't do that wearing my port hat, but I thought it was worth mentioning. It was the first conference on industrial symbiosis held in the Northwest, possibly the first ever held in the United States, and was very interested to learn about the work that's being done in Europe around reuse of resources, about matching industries for economic and environmental benefit. And one of the big takeaways was that our own Lieutenant Governor had a presentation with the Danish ambassador to the United States, and they announced there that they will be signing a bilateral agreement on industrial symbiosis between the state of Washington and the country of Denmark. It's probably been signed already now, so that's incredibly exciting that our state is taking that step to work directly with the leaders in the world in industrial symbiosis and to advance that effort here in our state. And then finally, on July 1st, I was able to be on an elected officials panel for the Thurston Chambers Youth Leadership Thurston County Government Day, I think it was. They had students, many of them middle school and high school students, who were learning about local government in Thurston County. So that was fun to participate in.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner Russell?
Well, I have learned that the Transportation Policy Board and Thurston Regional Planning Council have almost identical agendas because I am our representative to the Transportation Policy Board, and I just attend the TRPC because I'm really interested in what they do. And so they were covering basically the plans for the intermodal transportation plans for the state of Washington, especially the I-5 corridor. And I-5 corridor going up to Vancouver, British Columbia, and going down into Portland. And so including both states and two states and two countries. So there's some real exciting stuff. And it's really fascinating as a planner. It's neat to see people doing planning really effectively, where you look at what you want to accomplish, and then you look at where the shortcomings are, where you have gaps, and then you look for what kind of policies to fill in those gaps. And then you put it together into policy proposals. So that was really neat. I was at the Pride Day at the Port Plaza, the Pride March. I'm part of a Olympia Indivisible de-escalation team. And so I was one of the de-escalators that was deployed along the route, just to make sure that we are not traffic cops, but we want to make sure that there aren't any interactions that could be threatening or destructive. So that was what I was doing. And I missed the shoestring circus. I would love to see it when they come back again.
Great. Commissioner Dubois?
Yeah, so the exciting meeting I was able to go to is there's a new joint base garrison chief of staff, Greta, and I think I'm getting this right, Buccellato. All right. Anyway, it was a very encouraging meeting because I am technically an ambassador to JBLM. That's part of my role as a commissioner. We decided one of our first meetings, and it has been very difficult to get a good contact with JBLM. And I've kind of reached out a few times, and I was invited to one or two ceremonies, but it didn't feel like we had a great point of contact. But it sounds like we're going to have a lot of back and forth. The new chief of staff is really excited to work with the Port of Olympia. She has actually worked with us in the past, back, I think, all the way up into the late 2000s when we had more of a business relationship back then. So yeah, I'm excited to hopefully go to more events. I was promised that they'll be reaching out more. And yeah, we definitely would like to improve the relationship because it seems like it's soured over the years. So sounds exciting. And then I was able to go to the Pride Parade with the port staff. I'm excited that it's something that we do. I just think it's so important for our local governments to stand with our community and just make a statement that we all belong.
Thank you. Commissioner Vasavara?
Okay, well, it was my pleasure to also attend the Pride Parade and speak at the day before celebrations at Percival Landing. And I would build on what you say, Commissioner Toompas, that in Olympia, the community is our local government because, you know, Dante Payne and I both got to address people, and it's wonderful living in such a supportive place. And there was a lot of recognition that we can't take that for granted, and we have to keep showing up for each other. The Fan Zone, I think, was a terrific community event. I don't know how it could play out in a cost-benefit economic development analysis, but it was a community celebration. And I hope we learned a lot and that we can redeploy and continue to throw great parties like that. TRPC, I am the designee of the Thurston Regional Planning Council. And yes, I think, Commissioner Unseld, there is some overlap with the Transportation Planning Board agendas. That overlap actually becomes a little bit problematic when it's not clear which entity has what decision power. So I think that'll be something that will be discussed at the retreat for TRPC in the fall. But just to build on the conversation about intermodal planning, basically there's always been sort of a regional vision that includes pedestrian crossings and bikes and rail, and but there's never been data on anything but vehicle use. So there's never been metrics to measure system performance outside of the vehicle performance. And so that's what's so interesting about what TRPC is trying to embark on now with that multimodal planning, planning for, of course, vehicles and everything else. And then the last piece, I just wanted to raise an item. We had a work session on Evergreen Pool, and it doesn't seem like we have found a path forward for the port to engage further in that specific issue, given kind of Evergreen's campus ownership and prioritization of their facility. I wanted to note that as we look into industrial symbiosis and other opportunities with our close neighbor, the Lot Wastewater Treatment Center on the Port Peninsula, heavy energy user that needs to offload excess heat. A colleague who served with me as an energy policy specialist at Commerce has mentioned to me that he always had a pipe dream of an open water, heated, open to the air, not roofed, swimming pool on the Port Peninsula, heated with waste heat from Lot. So I have to say that out loud to you all because I don't want to be having side conversations. I think it's an exciting, fascinating idea. It's the kind of thing I'd love to possibly ask staff to at least run up the conversation chain with the Lot leadership. And maybe this is something our new POCAC can help us just look at as to feed into our destination waterfront planning. They cited to me a Kitsilano pool in Vancouver, BC. I don't know if any of you have seen it. But the idea that the major operating cost of the pool often is the heating, and that might be a different kind of symbiosis. I guess it's more like a community symbiosis than industrial symbiosis, has got me kind of dreaming at night. So those are my updates.
Great, thank you. That's an exciting idea. For me, I attended the Shoestring Circus. That was wonderful. I'm excited to go again next year. Both of my chamber assignments, Lacey and Thurston County, are both on hiatus this month, so they didn't have a meeting, as well as the Experience Olympia and Beyond. So I don't have an update from any of those this month. I was able to attend the Leadership Thurston County, talk to the students. That was wonderful to get to communicate with them and answer some of their questions about local government. That's all I had to share. So with that, we will move to additional public comment. If there's anyone else, doesn't look like anyone online. Let's see any additional comment. Great. Other business? Commissioner Vasavara?
I just have two items. One, that I want to thank staff for launching this sort of intranet method of tracking requests. I asked for help with my calendar. Help was given to my calendar, and so it was just really nice seeing there was a a system to route that. So thank you for that that's all the action that's happening below the surface that of course, the community doesn't get to see, but that helps me see a better functioning port day by day. On that note, the second thing is, I understand we have a current AI policy at the port that kind of is very cautious, as it should be, in a high security threat possible place about the use of artificial intelligence. But I'm in my government job having an opportunity to participate in an AI pilot, and in some use cases, it is amazing. So I hope that staff will consider whether there are use cases and products that are sort of government oriented and therefore have the protections necessary to be able to especially unleash the small set of staff who are kind of working on economic development broadly. It seems like a really good use case. And so I'll look forward to Alex, you continuing to lead those conversations within the port. That's all for me.
I just quickly have a question about the process for appointing new members to the POCAC. I have met with someone that I would like to nominate for the POCAC, and so I'm wondering if we have to wait until the end of the month and this process, or if I can just nominate them and appoint them with the approval of the commission.
I think the way it was contemplated in the resolution that they would be encouraged to apply on our website.
Okay, I think he has.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I thought, our thought was to wait until the end of the month and then sort of package it together and share it with the commission.
Okay.
Applications. And for the commission's knowledge, we've received 7 applications today from people who are not current POCAC members.
Alex, can you share what,
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner. I was just asking if any of the current POCAC has applied.
We 3 or 4 of them have asked to be appointed. So.
Well, I'm hoping, Alex, you can send maybe an email follow-up just with how many are from each district so that we understand if we have to start going out and actively asking people to apply, what places have the least coverage.
Okay, happy to do that.
Meeting announcements?
All right. We have upcoming. Let's see, next Monday is the commission work session. Again, we'll be talking about some budget things. We'll be looking at a 6-month capture of our operating budget, as well as our capital investment plan and our 6-month progress on that. And then we'll also be looking at our 5-year capital investment projections. On Tuesday is a POCAC meeting, and that will be right here at 4 p.m. The next commission meeting will also be here, July 27th. And then on Monday, August 10th, our goal is to have the meeting in Tenino. We've got the facility all dialed in. We're just hoping that Mayor Watterson from Tenino can join us that evening. So we will try to make sure we get plenty of advance notice if we'll be holding a commission meeting elsewhere in case people want to join us there.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Smith. With that,